Hello, fellow book people. Today I'm gonna slow things down and do the cozy book tag, which first thing I'm gonna do is take off all this warm stuff, though it does give me the feelings of coziness. It also starts giving me the feelings of strangulation and all my old blues chapter verses, and the only crafty guy out there, though my knitting leaves something to be desired. So yes, I'm doing Sylvia K's cozy book tag. So it's all about things cozy. Starting off with, do you like reading books with a cozy feel to them? Why not? I guess I should start off by saying, what does cozy mean? Because I think cozy means different things to different people. I guess cozy is sort of like, I think about like kind of growing up and like, the kind of the tougher, stressful times, family-wise or school. It was kind of a thing of safety. It was kind of immersing myself in a different world. Definitely kind of a little bit of kind of like an escapism thing there. Nestling away from the pressures of, like, I think even that now is like nestling, kind of like, okay, there's a little too much happening and I need to recharge. I need to take care of myself and I need to relax. And I think that to me is what cozy reading is. And it's funny, like, we're in the book world, and I would have to think that, like, outside of people who are bookish, the last thing that there's a lot of people would say that is cozy would be reading. It's like reading is hard, reading is school and all that stuff. But our fellow book people out here, we definitely, I think it's interesting that, like, yeah, that's our default is, I need to, take a step back, and I need to, be with myself, and I need to take care of myself. And it's like, I should grab a book and I should read it, and it's going to make me feel better, which is a wonderful gift that we have for ourselves. Something that was very lucky that, I don't think non-bookish people, very intelligent, smart people, but that's not, they find other ways of getting their thing. But it's just very much that does seem to be a thing of, like, if you're a book person, I'd be interested to think about that. Are there other people out there like, no, I'm a book person, but that's not where I go for cozy. That's not where I go for my cozy, my safety, my relaxation, immersion. Like, that would be an interesting thing to hear. But for me, yes, most definitely, I do cozy read, and for the reasons listed. What is the most cozy genre out there? Of course, it's fantasy. Because it's me talking. And I think that a lot comes from, what I read as I grew up, and that was what to me was, I think, most dependably was something that, I'm going into kind of magic worlds. You can kind of very much relax into it and just kind of get swept up in an adventure. A lot of times you have those big, thick, long fantasy books, which I actually did like as a kid. I guess I had the time, and I just, I didn't have a life because I was a sad nerd. And so I sank myself into this, and I escaped, and it helped me and maybe hindered me. But that is probably my default. If I'm thinking, I'm feeling really crappy, probably you're going to find me with a fantasy book, a light fantasy book. You can also get fantasy books that are the very anti-definition of cozy. Recommend 3 books that made you feel warm and fuzzy inside. Which is interesting because, like, I came up with a bunch of stuff. Most recently, funnily enough, another fantasy thing is probably Brandon Sanderson and his Stormlight series, which are these 1,000-word page tomes, and they're all kind of adventure, and they're all world. And I mean, it's it's cozy to me isn't like I'm gonna fall asleep reading it. It's cozy is like, I'm gonna just enjoy myself, and it's fun. Also, other things I have down there is Terry Pratchett. Even though Terry Pratchett is actually, he's like the angriest, smartest, he's the angriest at the world kind of guy. He's a satirist, but strangely enough, maybe this is a secret of his success, is he delivers that in such a way that you just want to be in the world. You want to be in his world of God, Ankh-Morpork Pork is the city, and it's his, I want to say Ring World, and why am I getting that? Discworld. Ringworld is a different series. funnily enough, I also kind of go with, there's another side of cozy, which is I guess it's another escapism, which is noir. Like I've been reading the Richard Stark novels, or Elmer Leonard. It's like they're so divorced from my world. And I mean, they're full of violence and murder and stuff like that, but they're really sharp, pithy books, really, just story, and like, kind of lean characters, which is also something actually I find kind of relaxing. I've also got stuff like the Dresden Files. Back in the day when, as a teenager, it was probably the Piers Anthony Xanth books, which I've gone back and read some, and they're still actually kind of relaxing to me, but they're terrible. On kind of a non kind of fantasy kind of kick side, actually, I've got stuff like Evelyn Waugh and P.G. Wodehouse, just because it's English. It's the English language, but done so beautifully. It's like I'm sinking myself into a beautiful, clear. It's a certain style of writing, I guess, of beautiful writing. I mean, Waugh probably more so than Wodehouse, but Wodehouse is also is somebody whose prose is very smooth and stuff. And like I say, you kind of get into my other perennial favorite, which is Douglas Adams, that way too. Another comfort read, Douglas Adams is somebody I read over and over again, which I guess makes him definitely a kind of a comfort read if I think about why I go back there. Do you think it's wrong to read for escapism? Why not? I think, you could do everything to an extreme. I think as a teenager, I was really trying to get away from the world. And I was overboard on that side. It was a way of me surviving what I was going through, or feeling I was a sensitive child, and truly, I think, I was kind of sensitive, and I had a hard time dealing with life, life that a lot of other people could breathe through, and I look at just within my family of different family members of how they dealt with it, and they dealt with it a lot more healthier than I did. So I feel like you can overdo it. Whether I was going to like yank my poor younger self out and say, no, you got to face stuff or you got to do stuff. And I don't think that would have worked with me, but there's a balance there. There's there's always a balance. Number 5, do you think reading challenges and coziness go together? Why not? Reading challenges are definitely kind of like the deadlines, and I did ShakeTube, and I really enjoyed that, but it's also definitely like, I gotta read stuff. Now, if you want a really cozy readathon, might I suggest Jay Shayathon? That's a really cozy readathon. Unfortunately, I'm only allowed in it, and there's no goals, and it's just about reading, which is probably the definition of my cozy read. That was my cozy read week. Yes. So for the most part, readathons are challenging, which is good, but they're probably not part of the whole coziness thing unless you make your own individual readathon, which is what I did. And I recommend for everybody else out there, turn everything else off and just read. That's your readathon. Whatever your name is, a thon. Go for it. Do you like to make things cozy before you pick up a book? If so, how do you go about it? I think, favorite place to read is probably in the bath. Get some oranges, have my drink, just water, and just like, lay in the bath and read, and I can do that until I'm a pickle. Nice hot bath. Other than that, comfy chair in the bed. I think about like my favorite kind of getaway stuff. Well, I don't know if that comes to it later. My favorite kind of getaway stuff is like, go to Long Beach, go up island, find some place where there's not very much connections, and you just have you and your sweetheart, and you can. That's a great way to go. Do you listen to music while reading? No, I don't. Number 8, do you like to eat and drink while reading? As I said, I do have my oranges and water for the bath. I have my tea. Which I think is one of the other ones says is like, you take a sip, you read for a while, then you take another sip and it's cold, so you go zap it. Then you take a sip, you read, and then you take another sip and it's like, it's gone cold again. What the hell's going on? So yeah, I get some of that in, and probably a bit of chocolate, but I have to make sure I have a very metered amount of chocolate, because if I can also have a big bowl of chocolate, and by the end of reading, there's no more chocolate left, and then I'm sad because there's no more chocolate. So there's always more chocolate in my house. Is having a Booktube channel conducive to a cozy reading routine? Why not? A lot of people talk about like the stress of a Booktube channel, like, oh, I have to read more. I think a Booktube channel, my Booktube channel has probably slowed my reading down in a most productive way, because I like to review. So I have a tendency I finish a book, and it's not like before I had the channel, there's definitely a lot of books I would read and go, oh, that was a great book. Pick up the next book, read. But now it's like, oh, I read that book. That was a great book. Okay, why was that a great book? What did I like about that? Reread, look at things. Think about, well, how am I going to tell this to other people? And that's really deepened my sense of deepened my enjoyment of reading. And that's, I think, made for a more cozy read for me. If is coziness or productive, I think it's given me a deeper feel for books, which I think has got to be a part of, that's the deep side of cozy, is sinking into a book, is that deep immersion thing. So yeah, so it's, yes, Booktube for me has actually been a kind of conducive to cozy reading. Number 10, name at least 3 Booktubers whose videos have a cozy feel to them. It's funny, it's one of these things where I started looking at the video channels and was like, oh them, because it's like the best Booktube channels are the people who relax and let themselves out in their videos. And as the great and often quoted on this channel, Steve Donahue says, we don't watch watch Booktube really for the books. In a way, they're the conduit through which we get to meet all these other people. So yes, Steve Donahue is definitely one of them, though my god, he goes so many books and he's always trying to get you to join his readathon. That's not very cozy, Steve. You're definitely on the challenging side of thing. But people like Old Blues Chapter and Verse, which I don't know how he films his videos, but even like how his videos look are just cozy. So he's probably got some kind of giant film studio, and he carefully he probably films it on film, and then he carefully transfers it to video. I'm sure he's got a very complex process that he gets that such a wonderful hipster grain, because like, grain on film apparently is a new thing. Nerd writer in my timeline, because this is probably well out of time, has done a thing on the grain of the film grain in like Mandy, and like how that's becoming the fetish of our physical realm in this digital age. Okay, I've gone a little on a little bit there. Books I'm not reading, somehow connected to Old Blues Chapter and Verse, I believe, somehow. Also very cozy, and she does that without all the aid of those filters and stuff. She's, authentic in her coziness, cozy friendliness. Dane Reads always very much, he's a relaxing, grounding presence. If you're feeling like, a mile a minute and you're going to freak out, you go and you watch a Dane Reads video, and that definitely goes. Sue's Book Nook, Caleb, Caleb is definitely, I think he probably wins the cozy booktuber prize. And words everywhere. Just another fellow whose just whole personality is very much, he's very erudite. Like, you would think, okay, here's a super smart erudite guy who's like doing deep reads of poetry, and you would think, for me, that would just tense me out immensely. But through sheer force of personality, of a kind of a warmth and a gentleness of personality, he's able to project that coziness. So yes. And here I am, shouty John J, that guy who gets stressed out over the end of Booktube videos. So I'll leave the links down for all those wonderful people down below so you can kind of boost up on your coziness if you need to, or just go off and grab your book and get cozy. More videos later.